How's the stash?
Glorious.
That's what I'm talking about.
Live from downtown Nashville, Tennessee.
This is StacheCast. Let's go!
Welcome to our ridiculous sports show.
Hello, everyone.
It's a frat party at a golf course.
That was one hell of an intro. I enjoyed every minute of that.
Come on, do you even want to win?
He's like running into a 12-story building.
You want to talk about a whooping on national television?
I'm not playing for the next 2 hours. Bring me some chicken.
StacheCast, baby.
Hello, all you beautiful Americans. This is StacheCast, presented by Nashville Stash from downtown Nashville, Tennessee. I'm calling this our Memorial Day show since we're not going to be recording next week. We got Memorial Day coming up this weekend. So this is our Memorial Day show, and it is proudly presented by Wire Wizard Welding Products, family-owned, American-made. If it touches the wire, the Wizard has a solution. Check them out at wire-wizard.com and tell them that StacheCast sent you. Thank you all for being here. I'm very proud and happy that you've decided to join us. Us being my ride or die crew, we welcome back the class of the cast. K Love, glad to have you back this week. Alex Alper, the professor, is visiting family, and he is not with us this week. He will be missed. We look forward to catching up with Alper soon. But Joe Hudson, a refreshed Joe Hudson. Tweeter is back, y'all, and making new music, feeling like a new man, got a new gig. He is rolling. So thanks for being here, my man.
Thanks, man.
Scott Ward, we welcome back Mr. Ward. Thank you for being here. We had a big week last week in betting, learning about horse racing in our Preakness special. We'll touch a little bit more about that in a little bit. And JJ just wrapped up a game with the White Sox. Looks like they got the dub tonight. Killed a pigeon. We'll get into that. That is an interesting story. Wasn't a rooster, but it was close. So we're blessed to have you join us, buddy. Y'all, thank you for being here. Scott, I want to start with you. And like I said, thank you again for getting Kevin Humpick on the show last week to break down horse racing for us. If you haven't listened or watched that episode, I know that the Preakness is over, but go check it out. It was extremely educational for me. I'm a novice horse bettor, so it was great for me to get to understand a little bit more about the racing process, how to bet on it, how to win, how the different things go. So go check that out at Nashville Stash on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. So Kevin and Scott were able to win me some money. That's the big takeaway here. So
Ooh.
Scott, how'd you end up after the Preakness?
Had a couple of winning bets, but overall just ended up pretty much even. Your little horse, Blazing Sevens.
That's right.
I had Red Route 1 in that spot.
Well, Blazing Sevens was in the 7 slot. I thought that was too many coincidences not to pull the trigger there.
It was a really good pick and a really good race. My actual pick, and I threw this out during our special, was First Mission. And that horse got cut that day.
Right. That's why there was only 7 horses, right?
Mm-hmm. So, but the race was good. We should all have learned also that Bob Baffert always puts out a pretty good horse.
Sure.
John Velasquez gets his first win.
There you go. That's a big deal.
What do you mean got cut? When you say a horse got cut,
Scratched from the field.
What happened that would lead to that happening?
It can be a lot of things. They can come down with an illness. They could just not be running well. They look like they have a limp or something like that. They don't want to be risked. We go into that in the episode too on why a lot of those Kentucky Derby horses don't run in the Preakness because of health issues, because lots of horses have been getting scratched lately. So
sounds like the NBA.
Yeah, it's an epidemic, right?
Taking the rest days.
It's taking a day off.
JJ, have you ever bet on a horse?
Yes. Yeah. So my parents, definitely.
Yes. Oh, Your Honor. Yes.
Marlon John will vouch for this. They used to, on their anniversary, we live not far from Churchill Downs. We didn't go to the Kentucky Derby, but they run horses all year round. So anniversary, they'd load Jake and I up in the car. They'd pull up and they'd pay to go sit in the fancy seats and have a little date night to give Jake and I each $100 and say, go fucking crazy. So you can run up and you can bet. I'm probably 12 years old, and you can, I swear to God, I'm assuming you still do now. They'll let you bet on anything you want to at the track. It's when you win, you have to save the tickets, and mom and dad would come cash at the end of the day. But I'd go through and I would lose $100 in like 3 races. I'm shit awful at. I can't pick this to save my life. Meanwhile, my brother, probably why he's now an engineer, would sit there. He'd take the first $10 and read the book, and he's going through it. And that kid would win every fucking time.
Yeah.
So I'd have to just go bother my parents every 30 minutes and be like, hey, Dad, can I get another 100? Just leave me alone. Just trying to, anyhow, yeah.
Leave me alone.
Churchill Downs,
Dude,
baby.
All right. So one of the things that you make a good point. So what I was amazed at when we were talking to Kevin last week on that show was how much information they give you on these horses. When you go get that little book, and like you can bet online now at the Churchill Downs site, Twin Spires. And if you go to any race, you can get send you a PDF that has so much information about every horse. It's absolutely crazy. It's like, not only do you have what they did in races, but you also have their practicing and training times. You've got their lineage. You've got horses are ranked on so many different things other than just what place did they come in, or how big are they, or what do they weigh, or how, whatever. So you can look at something like their speed rating, and they have a speed rating based on their last, it's almost like a golf handicap. It's like their best 9 races out of their last 20. And it gives you a speed rating based on the track, the weather, the horse, all of the things that go into it. And you get a speed rating. And that's pretty straightforward. How fast are you? The fastest horse wins, right? But the class is an interesting one that you get a lot of information on, which is basically like the lineage of the horse. The horse can have just a, thoroughbred dad and just a top shelf mom. And so they're going to, that colt is going to be expected to be better. Now, obviously, once it runs some races, the proof's in the pudding. Right now, you can have a high class horse that doesn't perform well, but they give you all this information. It's like, it would be similar to being like, okay, I've got all of Shane Bieber's bullpens and all of his analytics and all of the, all of his spin rates and all these different things that make Shane Bieber the pitcher that he is, not just his stats in the games. So it would have, how does he pitch in rain? How does he pitch when it's sunny, in night games, day games? Like, they have all this information. It's just not presented to the bettors readily. When you go to DraftKings or whatever, you're not logging on. They're going, okay, before you pick this pitcher, here's what he's done out of the, like, if you watch ESPN News, or you watch some of these sports channels, they still do give you a little bit of information as far as last 7 starts, last 10, but not even close to the amount of information you're getting on these horses. So if you do kind of, and I think it's easy to get paralysis by analysis with this, but if you do dig in, there's ways to make some money with horses, because even the favorite is plus money. So, or not maybe not that. Maybe 5-2 was what the favorite ended up being in the Preakness, something like that.
I think so.
But that's still better than 4-1. So it was really interesting to dig in. So I encourage everybody, if you got any interest in horse racing, we got the Belmont coming up. We're going to do another one. It's supposedly a better race to bet on, and a lot more races to do. So we'll have a little bit, now that I've got a base knowledge, we'll have a little bit more fun with that next time. But the PGA Championship was a blast this weekend. We had a crap load of rain on Saturday, but the story was obviously Brooks Koepka winning the PGA Championship, his 5th major, being a live player. There's a lot of narratives and stories out there about how's this affect, the relationship of golf and the different entities moving forward. Is, how does it affect the players and all that kind of stuff when you've got somebody who, doesn't play on the tour, but he's good enough to come out and win. It's like, you kind of think, man, is there a way to make it happen? But the big story for me was Michael Block out of California. And for those of you guys that don't understand how the PGA Championship is set up, 25 PGA professionals across the country get the opportunity to qualify to play in this championship. Now, the local golf pros at your club, these guys are PGA members. They went and qualified. They earned their spot in the PGA. And, what they choose to do with that is a lot of different things. They can teach, a lot of guys are teaching lessons. They're associate pros. They're whatever. But these guys get an opportunity to go play. And the best 25, the top that qualify, get to go play in this championship. And Michael Block was one of those guys. And he's done it a handful of times before that. And he plays quite a few more tournaments than most pros do. But comparatively, this guy's not hitting a bucket of balls a week. Like, he's not practicing. He's not a guy who's out there grinding it out a lot. And he shows up and he places tied for 15th in a major championship. That's absolutely crazy. Like,
Life-changing
that's
money, too.
crazy. Like, Joel Damon's caddy Gino played the course today after everybody left and shot 85. And he's a professional caddy. Now every caddy's not a scratch golfer by any means, but Gino's a decent golfer from what I've been able to tell. And, but he was like, even with my best stuff, I couldn't have broke 80 out there. And this guy went out there and shot par 3 days in a row and then shot one over on Sunday and absolutely dunked a 7-iron. That was epic. I mean, talk about the dude's on a rocket ship right now. I'm absolute rocket ship. So he gets tied for 15th and he gets to go. He's in next week's tournament, right, Scott?
Yeah, he got invited to the next 2 tournaments actually. But he had already bought his plane ticket. Yeah, he'd already bought his plane ticket to go home for Saturday and had to cancel it because he didn't expect to make the cut.
That's right.
He
I
ended
did
up
hear him
playing
say
with
that.
Rory McIlroy on the last
so
day
cool.
and holes out.
His reaction every time they told him, "Hey man, you're beating Rahm by 6 shots." He was like, "What?" Hey, you're playing with Rory tomorrow, and he's like, "What?" Even Rory's like, "Hey, dude, you hit the ball in the hole." He comes up and hugs him. He's like, "What you hugging me for?" He's like, "Did it go?" Like I think he was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was even like the announcer said right before. He's in the freaking pawpaw patch on 18. Like he's in the crowd, like in where JJ likes to hit it. And these people, they move everybody out of the way, and he just chill. Like he's like, "Hey, a little bit over here to the left." He's like, "I'm gonna kind of go that way," and he's real handsy. Like he's got the same kind of shot that I see every day with the dipshits that I play with at the club. And he just, he kind of comes in there and whoop. But the announcer said, the way that his weekends is going, like I fully expect him to get this up and down. And he hits an absolutely perfect little fluffy, floppy little lands on the fringe, trickles down to 10 feet. And it's what was it? About at least a couple cups out. I mean, it's it had some break in it for the bar. And it just drips right over the edge, just like you would draw it up to. It was a fucking movie, Scott. It was a movie, wasn't it?
You could tell he was so humble and he was soaking up and savoring every moment. But
he did soak it up. And that's what was endearing about it.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
He didn't try to be too cool for school for it. He just said, "You know what?
No.
This is a dream come true.
It is. Yeah.
Bring it on."
That's how he was.
It was cool as shit to watch for me. So,
out there playing with 13-year-old clubs.
Yeah.
Tour preferred.
Wow. Yep.
I didn't even realize that.
Hey, if they're not broke, right? He knows how to hit
and he's used to them.
He knows exactly how far they go. You're not going to go into battle with a gun you've never shot. You know what I mean? Like you feeling comfortable with your weapon is a big deal.
Golf is a beautiful sport like that. I mean, 46 years old.
Yeah,
I saw his wife said he should start charging a lot more hourly for his lessons. No other sport that happens. I mean, golf. This guy gets a chance, comes out, and just You're not taking a hitting instructor and throw him in a big league game. Like the closest thing I can think of is that old movie, The Rookie, with the high school coach.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
That's a movie,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
Can you imagine one of those guys that came out to fantasy camp? Like if what they won was they got to go in and play a real game. Got to go to throw an inning in the big leagues.
That'd be a shit show.
Some 60-year-old man
so
out there.
Good for ratings though.
Dude,
like everybody would tune in.
I would watch it.
Everybody would watch that.
It'd be like the world's worst first pitch on steroids. Like it would be like what's that show where they run around and like the obstacles knock them into the water?
Wipeout.
Yeah, Wipeout. Yeah, it'd be like that. It'd be that big of a train wreck that I would want to watch it. Like people just getting absolutely destroyed.
Well, it'd be like pulling someone from a practice squad in basketball.
Sure. Which like if you left the JV out there accidentally, and you walked in and it was the Monstars on the other side. This is not going to go well.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you got on? Oh, go ahead, Caleb.
No, you go.
I got no. It's about.
I just had a question.
The other tour. So,
Kristen.
I just had a question. So, how is this one structured in this sense? Since it is PGA, how is it that people from Live and all that are able to play in this one? That is one thing I was curious about.
They can play in a lot of the majors. If the majors can dictate whether or not they're able to play based on points or past performance. Some of these tournaments, if you've won it before, you're always going to be able to play in it. That's how a lot of these guys manage that.
'Cause
Koepka, I think, is now a 3-time winner, so he's going to be playing in every single PGA. I believe.
Like I understood the Masters because the Masters is so different and unique, but then the rest of the others, and when it's called PGA specifically, so I was just curious.
The PGA doesn't run the Masters, and there's
Right.
one of the other tournaments that they don't run at all. That is a major. I think it's the U.S.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think the PGA and it sounds less likely than is the Open Championship, the British Open, a PGA event?
I think so.
It seems
But
like
it's
that would be
also an
opposite.
Open Championship, so I think you can just.
Too bad we don't have the professor here
qualify.
to dig into that for us. But
We miss you, Alex.
at any rate,
Call him in.
congratulations to both Brooks Koepka. Massive win, big, any type of major. Good for you, man. Like, you don't have to like the guy. You can, think what you want about him, but that golf course in those conditions was playing absolutely maniacal. I mean, just brutal. And he got around it and at better than anybody else. And you got to tip your hat to him. But also congratulations to Michael Block. What a story. It's fun to see somebody like Rory McIlroy walking up on 18 and being blown away by the ovation that the other guy's getting. Especially when it's not a guy who plays all that regularly. So really fun to watch.
We talked about how everybody treated him, like everybody was so nice to him and just made him feel so warm. I saw an interview with Rory, or a meeting between Rory and Josh Allen after the game or after the tournament, and Josh Allen came up, and you're just like, you're watching two major star athletes be very awkward together and not know how to have just like a regular guy-to-guy conversation. He's like, so when's the last time you played here? And it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, I don't know. It's like the most boring conversation ever.
It would have been a lot easier if somebody would have paid attention and realized, if like somebody would have told Josh, be like, hey man, Rory's wife's family are members at Oak Hill. Like his wife's family's from up in this area. They're probably Bill's Mafia. Like you should.
He did know that.
And he never got to it.
He eventually got to it.
Oh, okay.
But still awkward. Awkward conversation.
Well, he's a football player. He played football. He no talk. Okay. At any rate, I digress. I've been looking forward to getting you guys together because I want to talk about what the heck is going on in the NBA playoffs right now. Last week, we gave a little bit of projections. We talked a little bit about it with Boyle and Alex. And K-Love, you weren't with us, but you did listen to the show. And one of the things that stood out was the conversation about who's more likely to upset the other in the series, the Lakers or the Heat. And it was predominantly Lakers was the tone. And
at Heat.
And like saying, yes, same as me. I've got to say the Heat are playing some good ball. And if you look at the matchup wise, I think they can match up with the Nuggets because obviously we know that the Lakers aren't coming out of that hole, and neither are the Celtics. So
last couple of times they've played, it's only been about a 5 or 6 point game. But I don't think all of the stars have been playing in each of these games. But I think you're right. I think the matchups are pretty good.
I think the role player matchup is what is going to dictate the series because this, that's been the story of both series in my opinion, or in the West Coast. The Eastern Conference Finals has been an absolute disappearance of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like two all NBA players that have not showed up. Especially Brown, but he's 0 for the century from 3. Like it's atrocious to watch them play. And then they did something that is hard for me to watch, and they flat out laid down last night, and they gave up on that game. The Lakers be what they are. They're still flat getting it, even if they're getting their shit pushed in by 30. They're still out there getting it, and there's a little sense of pride in that you can, even though you're getting blown out of the gym, you could still say, hey, I went out on my shield, right? In the situation with the Lakers, it's just been too much of the Nuggets. I think it's less about what the Lakers haven't been able to do, and it's more about the Nuggets have just been kicking on all cylinders. Jamal Murray's been a madman. Jokic has been Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. and the rest of the crew, Caldwell Pope and them have been playing their role. And I think they're just a lot. They're just a lot to deal with, and they are solid. They're consistent. They just keep coming at you. What do you think?
You mentioned support staff, and D'Angelo Russell's been absolutely a ghost
Nowhere.
there. I think I saw it right now in the Western Conference Finals. They're like minus 15 with him on the court. When I watched him against Golden State, not that he was huge, but he came in and could give quality minutes. I think they got an older team that's going to need probably more blows than other guys, especially now you're getting late, and to not have those role players come in and pick it up. Yeah, that guy's.
He's got 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists halfway through the fourth quarter. Like, he's supposed to be a guy that can get you 25, on any given night. Fill in is a great third option. Austin Reeves is like D'Angelo who? Like, I'm sorry, man, like that. Russell has been you're right, man. Absolute ghost. Sad. Because LeBron and AD, I mean, they're still just carrying the living shit out of this team, and it's just they're too banged up, they're too combined, too old, I think, to just
look at their minutes. They've sit out like 2 minutes a game max. It's like
LeBron's played 41 tonight out of
he's averaged 41. AD's averaged 40.
He played every minute. He's played every minute of the game.
And that's the way that he is. And you look at the first quarter and you go, okay, like I remember writing it down. I go, okay, when when Bron does his Bron thing, the Lakers look like a different team. Everybody looks like a different team on defense, on offense, top to bottom. They look like a different team. Bron can't Bron for 40 minutes. Like, he just can't. Like, he's got it. Like JJ said, you got to have a blow. Somebody else has got to play basketball. AD has been a superstar. He has been as advertised. And so you look, when it shakes out, Austin Reeves has been, he's dropped 20 every game. He's played solid every game. Dennis Schroeder has, although Jamal Murray has absolutely torched him, he's done what he was expected to do, and he's been a little gnat, and he's flying around, and he's just trying to get in Jamal Murray's pocket, and that's all he's worried about. If he gets a shot, great, but he's not looking for one. If he gets a floater in the middle, he takes it, but he's not looking for it. But it's like you look at it and you go, okay, they're the top-ranked defensive team. They're doing all these things. Their stars are playing. They're getting this. They're getting that. Yeah, D'Lo's he's non-existent, but they're getting good minutes from what's his face, Lonnie Walker's, playing okay. Denver's it's just too much. It's just too much. It's an onslaught. It's like, a murderer's row. It doesn't matter. They just keep coming at you. They have the ability to take out Jokic or Murray and leave the other one in and still remain effective. They still get the ball in the hole because Michael Porter Jr. steps up and he's putting in 25 and 10. Caldwell Pope gets hot and hits 4 threes a game. Aaron Gordon is being annoying enough to some of these wing players down low. It's effective. Can the Heat beat them? That's what I'm getting at. Can the Heat beat them? Because we know what the Nuggets are. So the Heat are the pissed off kid that's got the chip on his shoulder, and they're out something to prove. Every time they win, it's 6 more, 5 more, 4 more. That's what their mentality is. The job's not done. They got a championship mentality for sure. Can they beat them?
No, they're shooting the lights out from 3, so they'll have to stop that.
Because they're playing good basketball. They're moving it. Everybody touches it. That gets in the paint.
They're very good with that. Like, we watched them last night. They played like a team, especially when you compare. They're playing the Celtics at their worst ever, but you can tell that they're so efficient, but they're fast, and they're passing it. Everybody's, like you said, everybody's touching it. That you can see and he even said it afterwards who they interviewed are playing team basketball. And it's working. Yeah,
that's what I guess they interviewed Gabe Vincent after the game last night. And the point that he's making is that they don't care about drafted, undrafted, or who they've got on their roster name-wise, right? This is the model, and it's Pat Riley down. They talked about it the whole game. It's a Pat Riley organization. He knows how to win. He's proven it. And, it's trickling down. Spoelstra does a great job getting his guys in the right mindset at the right time. but the dudes can play ball, man. Like let's not act like Bam Adebayo isn't a freak of nature. Like that dude, do you see some of the? He's 6'10" and can jump out of the gym. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Jimmy
they have some
Butler.
really good matchups in that game. So I think the key thing is if you can make Jamal Murray play defense and play two sides of the court, or do you have to throw Kentavious Caldwell Pope on Jimmy Buckets?
You absolutely don't put Jamal Murray on Jimmy Buckets.
He's got like
but he's
3
gonna
games
have
in a row
to-
with 3 steals.
You're going to have somebody that's going to effectively be able to guard him. If
Nobody
Caldwell Pope fails,
on
who do
their
you put
team.
on him?
You've got to. It's got to
Or do
be.
you just let him get his?
It's no. Well, I think you're more likely. I think you're better off giving him. Focusing on taking away. Do you send 2 to take him away, or do you let him eat and take 2 others away? It's kind of like it's a little chess game, right? Like, okay, if you let Jimmy eat, who are you taking away?
I think Jimmy's looking to eat though. Like he eats when
right.
someone pokes the bear or when he needs to, but like he'll go. That's why he's not really talked about a lot of times during the regular season. He's not worried about trying to get his.
No, none of them are. They're all that. Jimmy's one of the few superstars that makes the guys around him better. He had 10 assists last night before they took him out in the third quarter. Let's be honest. Like in a blowout game, you would fully expect Jimmy to be, but no, Gabe Vincent had 30, and his statement after the game was great because he's like, look, it was me tonight, but the way we play, it could be somebody. You don't know who it could be tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And they're also probably getting Tyler Hero back sometime soon.
Good Lord. I hope he comes back just to put him in a jersey or some warm-up suit so we can stop looking at what this stupid ass was wearing.
It's awful.
The wardrobe choices we're getting.
It looks like he's best friends with Machine Gun Kelly. Like they just, you should have been sitting next to him.
They definitely got a secret handshake. You know what I mean?
It's terrible.
It is terrible to Charles Barkley. It's ridiculous.
He looked good, and Victor Oladipo's can't play. So add that to the mix.
Joe Oladipo showed up in a purple outfit with a shower cap on.
Did you see that? I
can't keep up. I can't keep up. He's got
it
one.
Was a shower cap. It was.
They look like it looks like a Halloween. Like they all showed up like it's a dress up. Like dude's got one crutch, shower cap, like a purple. Like looks like he snuck away from the purple loony bin, and he's like hiding, like he's pretending to be like an old lady, like he's sneaking around. It's what he looked like.
It's amazing how much money that they can have and still look like they're as homeless as possible.
Dude, it's crazy. I saw a video of James Harden coming in for one of the playoff games, and it looked like looked like he had on like corduroy Jinkos or something. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah. I never seen anything like it. But we talk about Jimmy Butler, and we talk about some of the things that he does. He eats when he needs to, and he doesn't. But one of the things you mentioned was when he gets poked. I appreciate Grant Williams' intention. And I like Grant Williams the way he plays. He's that guy that he knows his role and he plays it well. And I'll be honest, like he was having a good game. It was not like he wasn't like knocking down shots and playing good. But when he hit that 3 and got a little chippy with Jimmy, and Jimmy kind of smirked, like he kind of like, oh, is that what we're doing? I wish I could go back. I wish I could, it's hard to, I wish I could describe what it's like to flip that switch where all of a sudden, watch this.
Between that and the timeout tee.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Don't poke
what was he, what did, I guess what I want to know is what did his boys say to him after the game? Like after the game, where they're like, dude, like, can't like maybe pump the brakes on the headbutt trash talking, because it looked like y'all were gonna either, like y'all are trying to like, draw blood or something with enough pressure, but it's like you're mushing noses and spitting on each other. It's getting weird. Or what are we doing?
It's got to be done mid game and not post game. You don't poke that bear. Especially once he started going, it was over.
It was turning on a wall. You couldn't. It was turning on a water hose. You couldn't turn off.
Well, why even do that? Anyways, you're so far behind in the series and have been.
And
Well,
you're
I
a
mean,
bench player.
He's a bench player that's
Yeah.
trying to get his team
Haven't
fired
even
up.
played
Like
all
I said,
series.
but I understand the intention, right?
There's no.
But like Jimmy said, he's probably just not the guy to talk to. You know what I mean? Like maybe Jimmy Buckets is not the guy that you talk to. Jimmy said, he's like, I appreciate it. It's competition. It's all good. But, maybe I'm just not the guy to be talking trash to. So, it's like, hey, yeah, maybe you're not, because clearly that's what happened. So if you want him to calm down and you want to contain him, maybe chatter is not the method to go with. But I'll tell you what the thing is, and Alex would appreciate that I'm bringing this up. The amount of, like, it's gotten to an all-time like high for me, but the amount of whine, like every single call, every time they blow the whistle, it is somebody, they're whining, they're throwing their hands up to the ref. You got to, and then every time they go to the basket with, completely out of control, flailing and flying and trying to throw up something, and they hit the ground and slide in the cameraman, and they get up like, where's the foul? And it's like, you don't get that foul. Like, you're out of control. Like, you flailing around and that's not a foul on the defense. That's you being but it's every call, and it's ridiculous. And it's, every time somebody gets popped above the waist, we got to go look at it and see if he was intentionally elbowing somebody. It is basketball. You get elbowed, you get pushed, you get shoved in the back, you get busted in the ribs. Sometimes you get knocked in the face, you get hit in the nose, get kicked in the head. You know what I mean? You dive on the floor, and what do you expect to happen? Yeah, bodies are going to collide. It's not always a malicious. It's basketball. And I love Van Gundy for being honest and keeping it real. Him and Mark Jackson keep it real.
They were
dude.
cracking us.
I mean, they're like, it's basketball. Like, what does he do? He's got 21 points in the first quarter. You got to get a little physical with him. And it's a little Van Gundy talking about, like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? But like, at least they understand it's basketball. But like, between the flopping and the whining and the complaining and the going to the replay for, it's getting on my nerves, Joe. Can you tell?
Should. It's annoying. It's just by definition very annoying. There's nothing not annoying by it. Like we were talking before we got on tonight, when LeBron flopped a couple games ago, and then it was literally, you could just watch it all downhill for the whole team after that flop.
Right.
And I was so happy to see it, because I was like, you know what, just good karma. Let me just pin it on the flop just to be able to bring up the flop later. But going to the basket and then flailing your arms, like, you're going, assuming you're just going to get fouled. You're not playing basketball at that point.
Right.
You're trying to play a chess game that you've already lost. The other team's like, no, man, we're just playing basketball. And they play so hard on defense too. And the refs know that, and they know they play good defense. And so odds are most of the time you have to not give the call to the team that's huffing and puffing or whatever, but they're out coached. I saw a thing that Mazzulla's when he was in college, he was knocked out in the tournament by Jimmy Butler at Marquette. I was like, no kidding. That's wild. But I mean, it's just, they are so poised comparatively. You've got even role players they've been ghosts for like Duncan Robinson, right? He's been kind of a ghost for like a couple months now, coming in, hitting 5 threes, and just, people kind of staying ready, and they're just better coached. They've got right now probably the best basketball player that you want on your team, not named Jokic right now. Like, I'd take him over any of the Lakers guys right now. I'd take him over Jamal Murray right now. I mean, he wills that team to feel like they're going to go get a W and know their roles. And Bam stepped up. Bam is going to be a unique matchup against Jokic if they actually do play. It's a very unique matchup. I have no idea.
Yeah, because Gordon can't
how to analyze that one.
Gordon can't handle
No
Bam
chance.
Adebayo. No chance. So
No.
that matchup down low is where I think there's going to be interesting, because Jokic is going to have to guard him. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like you were talking about Murray. Like, Murray's going to have to play defense, but so is Jokic. And Jokic is a big old body, but he's not all that athletic. And Bam Adebayo, granted, his post moves aren't necessarily that of like, he's not Hakeem Olajuwon by any stretch down under the basket, but he is an athletic dude that can step out and, make Jokic guard him off the bounce. And, that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But Boy, I sure as heck didn't think we were going to be looking at possibly 2 sweeps going into the conference finals. You know, I mean, Alex says it all the time. It's not watchable. You get blowouts. You know, it's like one game's a 20-pointer. This is a 30-pointer, and it's starting to get that way where it's like, man, what happened to those games where it's like every single game of the playoffs, it was like down to the wire, might be going to overtime. Like there's a big 3 that closes. You know, I mean, we're getting. I mean, I can't remember. I remember more blowouts than I do close games as of late. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like and this is like essentially the final 4, right? And then
Right.
to have that big of a blowout, I mean, that just doesn't seem right. Same thing of getting this with any championship or that close to playoffs and to being a national champion and you're, playing teams that are thumping. So
I
don't
think
know.
it's
Not a
tough.
good look for the league.
No, we might need to get some Whamburger Whamburger and some French fries for all those floppers and everybody down there.
A Whamburger, huh?
Mhm.
I think
Also,
that's
might be a pitching clock, because all the time that they're taking to stop and look every time, they're gonna have to start making some big changes
Anti-flop rules coming
Mhm.
soon.
coming soon.
Starting to look like this South Florida connection here might be 2 sweeps as well. Florida
Yeah.
just knocked off the Hurricanes again tonight.
Did
So
they?
that's 3-0.
That's crazy, dude. Since the
run.
Panthers won Game 4 against the Bruins, have they lost again?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's been an absolute tear. That's crazy to me. And they were an 8 seed like the Heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Think
2
so.
8 seeds from South Florida about to sweep the conference finals. What is going on in the world today? That's
And you got
crazy.
the Final Four teams from Florida with Miami and
Right. Yeah. And the NCAA
Uh,
tournament. You're right.
like this has been a good run for Florida here.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
For sure. South Florida doing things. All right. So before we move on from the NBA, I would be remiss if we did not say that I mentioned that Carmelo Anthony is officially retired after 19 seasons in the NBA.
Yep.
Third overall pick in 2003, the year that I graduated high school, and makes you feel old. And that was the same year as LeBron and D Wade and a bunch of other guys. But he had finally, I guess he'd been out of the league. He'd been trying to figure it out. I know that last interview that we saw, he had been kind of hoping that somebody would throw him a bone, but it looked like he's finally hung it up. He's going to go be dad. His son's, getting into high school. He's, doing all that kind of stuff. So good for him. Carmelo Anthony retiring after 19 seasons. Good for you. Congratulations, Carmelo. But it gives me a question comes to mind. Who do the Denver Nuggets, which 15 do they retire at the end of Jokic's career, who is also number 15? Do you retire Carmelo? Do you retire Jokic? Do you not retire it at all?
Both.
Do you retire both?
Both.
I think it depends on if he wins this title. I don't think Melo won a title there, did he?
No.
Didn't even come close, I don't think.
But he was an all-timer for the Nuggets.
Yeah. True.
Multiple All-NBAs, multiple All-Stars. Like, he was an all-timer.
But Jokic is going to be that. He might bring a couple of titles. So
right. Let's play devil's advocate and say that Jokic wins this year's title. Let's say the Nuggets win this year and he's got a title. You can't say that you're not retiring Jokic's jersey after bringing them their first title as a franchise.
His career will have already gone down as better than Melo's. And I really think that people forget about Melo's career. Yeah, he might be 9th in scoring and he might be like one of the greatest scorers of all time. But most of his career has been tumultuous, media blaming, chirping about he's a problem on the team. He's not coachable by George Karl. They can't win with him. He's all about himself. He's selfish. So it doesn't even matter if any of that's true. It's just, that's been the narrative for a ton of his career. And he went from, in my opinion, the 1 year he was at Syracuse, I actually saw him play in high school. I saw him play and I had no idea who he was. When I went to watch him, I watched Oak Hill and I had no idea who he was. But that year at Syracuse, that was the biggest smile on television and on the front of every magazine. He had so much fun. And
Yeah.
everybody fell in love with this guy. And then when he came in the NBA at the same time as LeBron, the same time as D Wade, that was really fun to watch. But then like I felt like his career just pretty quickly became not a positive narrative. And Jokic is a freak of nature and is going to get the MVPs. He's going to get the championship probably. That will have already made his career, in my opinion, probably better in Nuggets history than Melo has even sniffed.
I think Melo
Feels like whenever this comes, go ahead, JJ.
You think Melo's 7 gets retired in New York?
Mm-mm.
No, not a chance.
No, he didn't do anything there. He
Yeah,
just scored a
he-
bunch of points.
I think it's the state of New York. I don't know.
I don't
New York
think
needs
that would
something.
matter.
So it's
But
Feels
it's
like
the-
when you have
it's
the
the Knicks,
situation.
though.
When you have the situation, normally what they seems in my head that they do, they'll let the current player play with that number and then at the end retire. So at that point, wouldn't you just retire both with that number?
I mean, yeah, that's the way that our country's
It's the
kind of
PR
trending
way.
towards. Yeah,
How they would
that-
do. Yeah.
Country.
Yeah, it's fucking
You went
bullshit.
there. You went there. You're not wrong
Yeah,
though.
it's a bunch of,
You know what?
"Here
We don't wanna
go.
hurt his
Oh,
feelings."
let's give it to them both.
Yeah.
Bunch of sissies. No, I agree with Joe 100%. Jokic is, if he wins the championship,
Yeah.
and brings their first one, that's the icon. That's the get a statue in front of the building type of.
And he is now
situation.
officially in the finals.
Right, and you also have to sit
Oh, they
back.
won?
And you can't. You sit. You
Yep.
sit back. You sit back and okay. Breaking news: the Denver Nuggets have beat the Los Angeles Lakers, and they are going to the finals in a sweep. I
Wow.
told Boyle, give him a little bit of respect. It's LeBron, but geez, sweep, wapow.
Yes.
So we'll find out tomorrow if the Heat can close that out. But I think at the end of the day, don't forget about Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is a heck of a Robin. Let's not let that get discounted. And he will forever go down in infamy as well if they were to get this job done against Miami. But like we said, Miami is looking tough, and they got a guy that is looking unbeatable, unguardable, and a team that's looking like they're clicking on all cylinders, playing well. I look forward to hopefully both teams, honestly. Like now I kind of hope that the Heat sweep, because that'll let both teams get a little bit of rest, because I mean, get a week off and get their legs back under them, so that we can get everybody healthy and actually have a good finals. Because the way that the Heat play and the way that the Nuggets play are my two favorite ways to watch basketball in the NBA right now. The sit back and watch the stars do their thing mentality is what's hard to watch for me. So the way that the Heat play and the way that the Nuggets play, I think it'll be fun to see those two go at it. But I want to transition a little bit out of sports and into a conversation that Kevin Boyle and I were having yesterday. And his big question was for JJ. And JJ, if you were to count what percentage of the time do you sit down to go pee, or do you?
Only when I shit.
You're only sitting down when you poop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't always poo when I pee, but I always pee when I poo.
Well, that's true. You do always
When
pee
I-
when you poo, but you don't always poo when you pee. Because if you're standing up at a urinal and you poo when you pee, it's going to be down running. It's going to be running down along your knee, and then you're going to have to go find somebody to help you out.
Wait, are people sitting to pee commonly? Is that
Boyle, I sit down 80% of the time at home. Why not? I'm tired. I got shit to do. Plus, it's half
Apparently
the time when I go. Usually at home, it's dark. It's instead of flipping on the light, because I'm not trying to flip on the light and be awake. You know, I want to kind of keep the sleepy. So I just go in there and sit down, so I don't have to aim. Everything can just stay relaxed. I can just.
dark. It's
But
anytime.
That's the way it started. I'll be honest. That's the way it started, and now it's like if I'm running in there, I'm sitting down for a second and
well, Kevin.
pop a squat and bang it out of there. Kevin's a 100%er. He's sitting down all the time. He only his bathroom at the office is a one-seater with a door that locks. He sits down every time.
Listen,
At least when I'm at the office, I'm standing up.
Kevin, we had him on speakerphone last night, and so he was like, "Okay, we're getting ready to get off here because we're gonna, eat or whatever dinner." And he's like, "Okay, it's fine, man." He's like, I'm peeing right now, anyways, and he's like, "But I'm sitting down, so you can't hear anything."
Yeah, he said, "Yeah, I'm peeing right now, but I'm sitting down so you can't hear anything." I'm like, "What is the deal?" So my second question is, how often do you talk to people on the phone while you're using the bathroom? One or two? And if you
physically
do, and
on
if
the
you
phone?
do you mute it for the action parts of this of the movie?
I would say for me, sometimes I'll be on the phone while I'm pissing, but it's few and far between, and you can definitely hear it. It's just people like that I'm comfortable. I'll be like, "Hey, pops, I got to piss. Sorry, it is what it is," and like just hang with it. That comfort level, like, but
Just a solid in the background.
it is what it is. Sometimes
Just
you're
a
on the
little
phone for a
flow.
long
Don't
time,
worry
you're
about
like,
it.
It blows my mind the amount of women that are talking to whoever they are while they're sitting on the toilet. Any public restroom that I go in, doesn't matter where I'm at, I always hear women in these stalls sitting down, just having full on conversations. And I'm like, what are you doing? What is wrong with you? Can you not
Caleb,
just wait?
every single day in the locker room, I'll go and I'll sit down to drop a deuce. And when I sit down, there's always somebody on either side of the stall. They're on speakerphone, or
Yep.
I'll even hear FaceTime. And I'm like, what is happening? It blows my mind. I'm like, you didn't hear the of the toilet or the
FaceTime, man.
Yeah,
I'd
no.
hang
I'm
up in a
sitting next to him.
heartbeat.
Hey, what are you
blowing the
doing?
back door.
Pooping, you know?
And there's no boundary. Like people, and it's like I said, women too. I'm not one of
Well,
those, but
Okay, so the backwards phenomenon is the girls talk incessantly all the time. They got to even in the bathrooms, they're talking to each other. Doesn't make any sense. If men talk to each other, think about you're walking up to the urinal at the airport and there's 10 guys standing there, and you walk up next to them and you just kind of, how's it hanging? You know, what are you asking this guy? What are you asking him that it's appropriate to ask him at this moment? There is nothing that's appropriate to ask anybody standing there peeing. I can't think of anything. I can't think of any reason to talk to anybody peeing.
there's not none of these are emergencies.
I don't even make eye contact.
By the way.
And I'll tell you what, there's some urinal etiquette. Like if there's a space for you to if there's room for you to give a urinal gap between you and the next
Do
homie,
not stand next to the guy.
don't go saddling right up next to this guy and peeing when there's extra spaces. That's sus as mother. Like that's weird.
You got some brokeback porcelain going on.
Right. Somebody's trying to take a peek, and that's bullshit. You need to keep your eyes on. You need to keep your eyes on your own work. You know what I mean? Like don't be looking at my test. I don't have the answers for you, player.
I'm still hung up on the fact
here-
that you sit 85% of the time.
Wait a minute. It's
Mind
80%. It's 80% of the time. 80% of the time I'm at
is
home.
bonkers. I'm assuming
Okay.
that she got down on a knee.
Most of the
proposed to you
time-
at some point.
Most of the time that I pee is at work. I'm standing up. It's a urinal. But when I'm at the house, I sit down. Why not? Give me a reason why not. Give me a good reason why not.
You're a man.
Just because I can stand up doesn't mean I got to use it all the time. Just because Superman can fly doesn't mean he didn't walk around sometime.
It's a good
It's
point.
just so
I
much
guess.
less effort. You could just flip the waistband below your nuts, and it's just
So
let it
true.
roll.
And
Yeah, but
feel-
if I've done all the work to get my pants on, I don't wear sweatpants all the time like you, JJ. I actually wear pants with a belt so if I have to do
tight
all the
sweatpants,
unbuckling,
too. He has tight
yeah.
sweatpants too. So it's
Yeah.
Of course.
he got
harder.
those painted on Bioris, man. But if I'm doing all the work to get the buckle undone and the zipper down, here's the thing. Why not just drop them to your ankles and have a seat? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not? Give me a reason why not. You can't. So
I
There's
wish
this-
I could stand.
there's
next
this
time
sometimes.
you gotta go pee, just go sit down. Just go sit down and lean back. Just lean back and let it go. And just
If it's at night, I'll probably
Or the
fall
freedom.
asleep, and then I'll wake up 6 hours later with this
Well.
stiff neck right on the shitter.
that's that. Well,
Are you narcoleptic?
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know how you fell asleep peeing on this toilet. That's the most comfortable toilet I've ever seen in my life. This dude's got a pillow in there.
You get the Canadian one with the bidet. Is that
Yeah,
the
he
one?
got the Toronto
Hey, there we
toilet.
go.
It gets his cheeks warm, and he's
I
just
hit
out like
the
a little
massage,
baby.
the massage spray, and I sit there, gone.
so random.
That is random. Well, okay. Well, fine. I mean, at the end of the day,
I have
maybe,
a question for you.
maybe it makes me what? Go.
There's a night light that you put on your toilet. It was on Shark Tank.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Best invention ever. Would that change your mind? Would you stand to pee if you had a little aiming direction?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the
Yeah.
fun
If
of it.
If I could walk into the bathroom with appropriate amount of light to know that I wasn't just painting the walls, that would probably make the adjustment.
There's
Well,
I
no-
also noticed that Also notice that if Kristen's in there doing her makeup or something, and I have to go pee because we only have one bathroom at the moment, I'll stand up half the time just because I'm like, I just want her to know that I still can. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
Half the time.
I can still. I'm sitting down,
The
dude.
most
Hey, I'm
you
telling
get
you,
to is 50%
I'm
of the
committed.
time.
No, I mean, I'm saying half the time that she's in there, I'm just throwing numbers out. All these stats are made up. I don't know how many. I sit down a lot. I sit down a lot. And when Boyle gets on here, he'll have my back on this 100%. We'll bring this back up and we'll do a poll. We'll see how many of you dudes out there are sitting down in UP. And if you haven't ever done it, give it a shot. Why not? We're not driving.
I wish I could do it standing up sometimes.
Right.
It makes
great.
situations real, real hairy,
Right.
and you got to aim.
Hey, look, if you just because you could every time doesn't mean that you would.
I watched Jovi get up, he doesn't do it anymore now. He's a little older, but he'd get up, you'd see the light flick on in the middle of the night. You'd be like, oh, I guess he's going to pee. And you walk in, you'd be like, hey, buddy. He's just standing there, no hands on anything. He's just standing there, just kind of looks over at you. It's just all over the place. He's not even awake, man. And you're like, all right, I wish you sat down for this one.
Hey, could have came in handy for the sprinkler move.
There you go.
I will admit, in the middle of the night, you're sitting there and you're listening to you hit the water, and all of a sudden you hear something else, and you're like instantly going to panic mode. What's going on? Where am I at?
Not good. Not good. You don't want to wake up thinking that you're creating the gushing water sound.
Yep.
It's going to be a bad day in the neighborhood. JJ, I'm so glad that you were here to offer your 2 cents on some toilet conversations. I know that you feel like that's basically all you do. But before we round out the show, I want to talk to you about 2 things baseball related. One, did you know that today in history, this day in history, May 22nd, May 22nd, that Ricky Henderson became the 3rd player in Major League Baseball to record 2,000 walks?
I did not know that, but his stolen bases are way more impressive.
Way more impressive, but that didn't happen today. So
he was good at everything for a really long time. And I actually, when we were in Oakland, I was sitting there thinking about if he had bigger bases and a pitch timer and they could only pick off twice.
Oh my gosh.
Because like whoever's second on the list, if you added 10 more years of 50 stolen bases, they wouldn't even he's got 500. It's absurd. Anyhow.
It's crazy.
My favorite player growing up as a kid, man. Absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
He was like the only baseball player I really loved as a kid. I grew up reading old school baseball books. My dad paid me $2 to read all these books that were like 70 pages long of all the historical greats. So I grew up like loving Mickey Mantle, loving Roger Maris, loving Hank Aaron and all those guys. But Ricky Henderson was my dude, man. I think he gets drafted in like 79 and played till 2003 or some shit. And I know that I think he played like 24 years. And I think like half of his entire career, he led the league in steals. And I think even like over 20 of the years, he was in the top like 10 in steals in the league. So the dude's like crazy. 74 years old, still stealing bases out there.
Yeah. Dude,
greatest leadoff hitter in history, man.
Like they say, cocaine's a hell of a drug. So,
Can you imagine walking him, giving him a free pass to first base?
Seriously.
No.
They'll let you know he also could swing it because like no fucking chance I'm giving that guy first base. I might as well fart and he's on third.
Yeah. He'd be there before it got all the way out, knowing you.
Especially if you have to sit down.
You'd be checking your oil, see if you pooped, and he'd be at home. That'd be a bad deal. It'd be wham bam, thank you, ma'am. He's around the bases. Gross.
Ew.
Quit shitting your pants, JJ. Jesus. So what's up with the Yankees, JJ? Are the Yankees cheating, or were they just doing good baseball?
They always
besides Germán. Germán's a cheater, like with the sticky
shit.
I'm talking about
set of rules. They're all cheaters, and I don't. Actually, I was just talking about this the last couple of days. Aaron Boone, for me, I really liked him as a player, respect him as a manager. I don't know if the New York media is finally getting to him or the fact that they're in 4th place in their division. That guy has got the red ass. They had the 11:30 Peacock game against the Reds. He got thrown out. I think it was the second batter of the fucking game. He's out every other day getting dumped left and right. They're peeking down the first base coach, that was a question. I don't think it's technically cheating. It's definitely horseshit. No. And if that was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you're getting beamed in the head. But now the game's gone soft.
I mean, if it's pitch calm, how is it? Is the pitcher not tipping pitches?
No. So what was happening was the relief pitcher if he was going to, so the pitch count would come in, he was going to his grip preset and then going. So he was saying
That's that's him tipping a pitch. That's his fault. That's
I don't disagree. The way you police that, and it is, is if you're
the way you police that is you coach him to not tip his pitches. And if he gets pissed off about it and he wants to throw at somebody, then I'm going to knock somebody's head off and I'm going to meet him about 28 feet between the rubber and home plate and say, let's fucking go.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think there's some bad blood there. I think you're tipping your pitches, change it. I mean, that's a very thing to change.
Definitely not cheating.
Pitching 101, grip your hardest pitch to grip first and switch out of that.
So they're just studying pitch tipping all the time and giving that. It's what it comes down to at the end of the day. There's nothing to do with pitch count. They're cheating on. And if you don't like it, change it or beat them and be like, hey, you want to look over there? I'll go put you over there.
Yeah. There's that attitude too. But you dink enough people, you start losing games. You know what I mean? You're already in fourth place. Obviously Aaron Judge is coming alive, but it's definitely,
if Aaron Judge doesn't hit a tank when he's looking over there, it probably isn't like a big story
but when he hit the tank, he wasn't looking. He
fair.
didn't peek. They zoomed in and he didn't peek.
I think he had 3 that game though. So I'm sure for at least one of them he was looking.
Absolutely.
But the one to dead center that was a bomb. That was
different. That's different than somebody watching the catcher's signals on a video and banging on a fucking trash can when it's a fastball.
Correct.
That is they were tipping. Pitchers tip pitches. That batter. What the problem is that they weren't good enough about, because you're not supposed to tell anybody that that he's tipping the pitch because you don't want him to stop tipping the pitch.
Right.
So we had a relief pitcher.
Whisper it to your next guy on the way into the dugout, and you're like, "Hey, look, he's gripping first. Like look what he's going to into the glove. That's what he's coming with." And that's common knowledge. Might as well be Wikipedia.
We had a reliever the other day that got hit pretty good, and so like 2 was fastball. If he hit 1, 2 was going breaking ball, and so the guy at the second base is going to open hand, close hand. Not cheating. Don't tip. Fix it. Figure it out. Talked about it. He's figured out the next day.
Yep.
So I pay attention as a baseball player.
And there's always something to pay attention to, and the narratives get twisted and turned a lot. But that's why I was curious to get what you're do what.
It's a vulnerability. You exploit it.
Yeah.
It's your job.
If there was something going on, and if a receiver was, every time he ran a slant, he set up his feet a different way. You telling me that Jalen Ramsey's not going to figure that out and tell everybody on defense, hey, when they do this, they're doing this, like they're tipping their hand. Absolutely. That's part of the game. Like part of the game in every game is trying to figure out the nuances of what's going on, what they're doing, what they're not doing. Basketball, baseball, soccer, it doesn't matter. You're trying to figure it out so that you can be one step ahead of everything, because that's the way the great ones play. They don't go where the ball is, they go where the ball's going to be. And the only way you do that is by looking for these little subtleties, because if you just line up and play X's and O's, and, then it's going to be what it'll be, bigger, faster, stronger, whatever. But it's those little nuances and subtleties that you got to find to give you an edge. It's not sticky stuff. It's not corked bats. It's not juice in your ass. Now it's back to the real stuff, real stuff. Tipping pitches has been around since baseball's been around.
I don't want to say it's impossible, but with all the shit MLB has around the dugout in the clubhouse, it's substantially tough to be able to cheat. So we can't have your phone in the clubhouse. You're allowed to watch the game, but you're on a 10-second delay feed. So when I'm watching a game sitting literally 10 feet from the dugout, I'm seeing it at the same time you guys see it. So I'll hear a crack or I hear a reaction. I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, well, sound like a home run. Oh shit, there it goes. It was a home run. Right. Because if you watch it real time, guys are throwing up down a 2 for a curveball, and that's when the banging shit was happening.
Right.
The iPads are only MLB iPads on there, and so they control what you have to send it through their server. They put on it's. I'm sure there's a way to cheat. I don't have any idea how you could do it these days, especially the compliance monitors. They have 3 in each clubhouse. Good luck.
You just get caught. You're just going to get caught. That's the end of at the end of the day. If you cheat, you're going to get caught. And we can talk about this another day, But the reason that Scherzer got suspended earlier in the season was absolutely bullshit. If you have any, if you've ever,
They checked him like 4 or 5 times that game, didn't
well, I mean, if you want me to do it, I'll do the same experiment that a lot of people in baseball have done. But if you start to mix rosin and sweat,
they?
it gets sticky. That's why they have that bag out there. It's for when you get sweaty, and you can't grip the ball because you're sweating, you go get rosin as opposed to dirt or anything else, because the rosin actually soaks that moisture up and gives you a tacky feel so that you can actually throw the baseball. I was never like, I need some extra sticky stuff so I can really spin this baby. But I use rosin all throughout my career because I sweat a lot. And so in order for me to be able to grip the baseball at all, I had to have a rosin bag that was chock full of that stuff. And there would be times where I would come out and I would have like crap on my hands because I was sweating so bad, and it would look like a bad spray tan, like just shit all in between my fingers and stuff. You know what I mean? You've seen those girls walking around their sandals with looks like dirty feet because they just they had a 2-week-old spray tan. And says they got this orange dirt on their feet.
That's a specific example from church.
Yeah, it's like
2 weeks ago.
It's like country club Walmart feet. It's really nasty.
I don't even think Jesus would have liked that.
No, but because you can't wash it off. He just said, I need another bucket of water. I'm going to need another sponge. Like, I can't wash this crap off. Where did you guys get this from? It wasn't Jerusalem.
I'll go on a quick rant. So Domingo Herman comes out there. This has been 2 weeks ago, even more. They check him. Hey, man, I see something's on there. You got to wash that shit off, which is fuck up number one on the umpire.
Right.
Because it's supposed to be, hey, you got some shit on there. See ya.
Yeah.
So you let some wash off. He comes back out. He's like, hey, he's got to wash it off. Hey, he's got to wash it off. Booney comes out. They'll argue. Then they send him in there to physically wash it off and come off. So that's 2 times they give him free passes. Fuck that. Bang it. You're gone. Meanwhile, Scherzer. So there's a new rosin every single game. That way nobody can put shit on it and say like, hey, we've reused it, etc. He comes off the field and he got checked every inning. That guy's got a pedigree. Herman ain't shit, and you see he's a cheater.
He's a repeat offender. This isn't the first time that he's been
show guy a little bit of respect. That was bullshit.
But the chemistry of, and what people don't know is what is rosin and sweat is one thing. Rosin and sweat with alcohol is involved, which is what they make you clean that crap off your fingers with, is alcohol swabs. Like those, get the like you get when you eat some wings, you get those to clean that stuff off your hands with alcohol. And then you put rosin back on your hands because that's what you've got, all you've got to use out there on the mound. And you've seen Scherzer, he sweats like a whore in church. So you get a little sweat, get a little rosin on hands that have just been cleaned with alcohol. Now it's twice as sticky. Now it's clumpy. Now they're coming back going, well, what is this now? And they're going, hey, you've been around baseball for how long? And you don't understand that this is what happens with rosin. It's asinine. But
meanwhile, we got pitchers that are going to here between every single pitch. And it's hair gel. Oh, hey, man, I just did my hair before the game. I'm not going to point out a picture. You'll see it. He goes here. You got a guy in Houston that literally lathers his body in atomic bombs. So he's just touching himself all the time. So it's what I do to get hot. And you're like, yeah, okay, you don't need your non-pitching arm to be absolutely covered head to toe or top to bottom in atomic. But there's shit all over the place. But to bang him on rosin and sweat is dumb as fuck. That's got to be a rookie umpire or a call-up umpire because that guy's got no fucking clue.
Yeah, it's brutal. But wow, lot going on. So just a reminder, Nuggets in the finals, that is confirmed. We got the Heat and the Celtics going down tomorrow. NHL playoffs are still rocking. JJ, Guardians got to get it going in the division. This looks like that's the only chance they're going to have. But we wish the Guardians the best of luck this week moving forward. We've got Memorial Day weekend coming up this weekend, Memorial Day next week. So we will take that day off. I hope everybody does the same and enjoys some time with their family and their friends. And remember why we have the freedom we have in this country, and really don't forget it on that day while you're out barbecuing and you're out doing all things. Remember the people that served, remember the people that stood up for that flag, and make sure that you send it the respect that it deserves.
Amen.
So with that being said, thank you guys for being with us this week. JJ, Scott, Tweeter, K Love, my crew, you guys are the best. We'll miss Alex. We'll see Boyle maybe again down the road. And This has been great. We look forward to next time. Until then, be good, be well. We love you big. StacheCast out.
Take me on your UFO. Yeah, on your UFO. I've been on some other shit, just lost my fucking brothership. Now I think it's time to beam myself back to the mothership. J-Rock is my co-pilot, that's the one that I hover with. Love the way we stubborn, like we rule our own government. We come through so thunderous, like everybody else.